Cheers and salutations. Welcome, everyone, to Hard Lens Media. Shout out to our Can TV audience as well. If you want to learn more about Hard Lens Media, please follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, and Kick. There is a lot to talk about, especially with this election cycle. Now, if you've been watching our show and if you've been watching some of the interviews I conduct here, which then gets sent to Can TV, again, shout out to our beautiful people out there, you'll know that we've talked a lot about third parties, most notably RFK Jr., Dr. Cornel West, and Dr. Jill Stein. The one party in particular in which there isn't a nominee yet, but there will be at the end of May, actually will be decided sometime around May 25th in Washington, D.C., is the Libertarian Party. And there's a lot of things that are happening with the Libertarian Party, and who else better than to help us explain or navigate through the decision process as well as other things that are happening there is none other than good friend of the show. He's been a voice of reason in the great state of New York, even though we have far more superior pizza. Give it up for none other than the great Larry Sharpe. Larry, how are you? How you doing? Welcome back to Hard Lens Media.
Looks like you're doing very well. I just had some awesome New York pizza, and now I'm all excited, so it's all good. So yeah, of course.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Look, I know that right now you've actually been put front and center and have actually joined one of the Libertarian candidates' campaigns. We've actually had him on the show. You actually helped us introduce him. Lars. Sorry, I'm getting his name wrong already. Stutter stammer right here. Give it up for Lars Mapstead. That is who you'll be running with, or either that you are his VP nominee. I'm stuttering here. Oh my goodness! But
no, it works very differently in the Libertarian Party. Just so that some people be confused. What happens is in the Libertarian Party, we're old school. We actually vote for a president separately first, then for a vice president. So the president may not get who they want. That does happen sometimes, right? So in other words, you're running for president and Mapstead's running for president and Johnny Smith's running for president. And then you want me as your VP. So you get elected. They go, yeah. Now they go, well, we like you, Kip, but we don't really like Larry. So they vote for somebody else. So you may not get who you want for your VP. It doesn't always happen that way. It all depends upon, to be forward though, usually almost every time the president does get who they want, because if the people like the president, they usually give the president whoever their VP is. But what also happens is some VPs will run just for the VP. They don't care who is the nominee. They just want the VP slot, or they'll want a couple different people, whatever the case may be. I have been, and this is since 2016. In 2016, Gary Johnson said he's running for a VP only with Bill Weld. So he literally threatened to drop out of the presidential candidate.
Wow.
He didn't get Bill Weld.
Wow.
So yes. In 2012, he wanted Judge Jim Gray. He got him, no problem. In 2016, it was a struggle. I know I was the guy who was fighting Bill Weld to become Gary Johnson's VP back then. I lost by 31 votes. So he almost got me instead of Bill Weld, but he said he was going to drop out. Would he have done it? I don't know, but he actually threatened that. So he might have. In 2020, I said I only wanted to be with Judge Jim Gray. Otherwise, I would not run as a VP candidate. I would just drop out of the race. And I did. Judge Jim Gray did not get the nomination, and I dropped out. And so I'm deciding, right? The Libertarian Party does not run with a slate, but some candidates decide to have a slate, and the Libertarian Party will agree with it or not, right? They can say, I don't care about your slate, or they can say, no, I respect your slate. I hope they respect our slate.
Well, so when we look at this campaign, first of all, how did it happen? Did they reach out to you? Did you reach out to them? Because it's quite clear now, especially since we are in May, August, September, October, November, and let's face it, then that's election night. What pushed you forward to take this initiative to really join Mapstead's campaign, especially for the Libertarian Party's nomination that's going to be happening on May 25th in Washington, D.C.?
The issue is, and I had said I was not going to run for president, and I'm still not. It's just too much for me to do. I can't do that. There's no way. The battle that I fought in 2022 still is just, it's enough. I can't do this again for a while. But I said I was open to being a VP. I was open to it. And a couple of candidates did look and say, hey, Larry, you want to run with me? You want to be the VP? A couple did say that. What made Mapstead different was he is the one who actually agrees with the plan that I want. And the plan is the idea of not just running again like we always do, but trying to make real impact this year. And you know that with RFK Jr. running, Cornel West running, Jill Stein running, it is going to be a challenge for Libertarians to get all those votes, right? Usually Libertarians, we're the third largest party in the country. We get the vast majority of the, go to hell votes, right? We get the vast majority of them. Well, there's a lot of people who could pick up those go to hell votes this time, so they don't automatically come to us. So his plan is actually to try to get electoral votes, to focus literally on two places where they break their votes up, which is Maine and Nebraska. Every other state, winner take all state, but Maine and Nebraska is not. So you could focus your time, money, and energy on specific districts within Maine and Nebraska and actually put gold on the map. Now that was the first part. Map's dead, perfect, right? Put gold on the map was the first idea, because once you do that, that affects every third-party candidate, particularly Libertarians, for the next 4 years, because now you can't say we can't win. There it is right there. We affected the election. We got one or two electoral votes, maybe more, we hope. Depending upon how polling goes, we may go for Utah. Utah Republicans don't like Trump, so there's a chance that maybe we could poll there better. We don't know. If polling shows us, then we'll go there too. So wherever we can get electoral votes, we'll focus on. Why does that matter? Because early on, when the press sees that we're getting traction, this will become a national campaign. How do I know this? It's already happening. I did this myself in New York State. I actually focused on smaller areas, got a bit of press, and it went across the entire state. And I multiplied the last guy's vote total by 6. That's how big it was. It was first time we ever got ballot access, 100,000 votes, massive big deal when I ran in 2018. This same concept will work. And I also know it'll work because RFK Jr. is thinking about the same thing. Spoke about what's called the contingent election. And this is what Lars Maps is talking about. And that is the idea of stopping 270. If people don't know this, well, some people don't know this. If the president on the end of the election, November, the president does not get 270 electoral votes, neither one does, nobody wins the election. They must get 270, right? Nobody wins it. So it goes into the Congress. It's called the contingent election under the 12th Amendment. That's where it is found, the Constitution, 12th Amendment. It goes there and each state gets one vote. So Wyoming is as powerful as California. One vote each. Whoever gets 26 votes is the president. That's how it happened in John Quincy Adams. That's how Thomas Jefferson was elected. They were elected that way because they had too many different parties and people that they couldn't get a majority. When you can't get a majority, the Congress elects. So let's assume for a second that RFK Jr. gets, say, I don't know, Arizona, Utah, Michigan, and then Lars Mapstead gets a chunk of Nebraska and Maine. That's a contingent election. Now that goes into the Congress. What happens in that case? The Congress has to pick a compromise candidate. That's how they picked Thomas Jefferson, the compromise candidate. Is that compromise candidate Lars Mapstead? Is it RFK Jr.? I don't know, but they have to pick a compromise candidate. That is an actual road to success, to breaking up a two-party system, which Kit, I preach about every time we talk. I preach about breaking this system every time. This is the only way to break the system, and maybe to win the election, but no matter what, to shake things up and get gold on a map and ensure that now every third party for the next 4 years says, see, we have impact.
Now,
I'm doing it.
Now, here's the thing. I like that idea, and I hope that, and personally, I do hope that not only are Libertarians capable of getting an electoral college vote, if not one or two, but I do ever have the audacity, if hope perhaps this is a high order, a tall order, but all of the independent candidates to succeed in that way. Now, but obviously the Libertarians are on at least 48, almost all of the states right now, at least for ballot access.
The 2 states you and I are in, my friend.
Yeah, Illinois and New York. We did it.
Yes.
We did it. We did it.
We've wrecked everything.
Hey, W's in the chat. Nothing but insider political corruption. You got the Democratic and Republican establishment, but because New York State and Illinois are Democrat. I mean, obviously it's a Democratic machine, but but in regards to succeeding in Maine and potentially in Nebraska and possibly Utah, which would be a site I encourage to see. I would like to see. Obviously, we are seeing what's happening to Trump and to other third-party candidates where ballot access is being denied to them. And it's not only presidential candidates, but it's also other third-party independent candidates that are running for various different positions for this election cycle. As of now, I mean, obviously there is yet to be a nominee, but potentially should you and Mapstead go forward, earn the nomination, and continue going forward, is there any kind of plan or steps necessary to deal with any kind of legal issues that obviously the Democratic and Republican parties will do, because their MO is always the same. Denying third parties independence from being on the ballot, being on a debate stage, being available for voters to vote on. Are you guys prepared for that contingency? Because you've seen it before. I've interviewed people since 2017 about that. Is there a plan in motion for that?
This is the advantage that we have this year. And, you know, you've heard me say I've been very happy that RFK Jr. is running this year. And people say, well, why do you care so much? I'm going to tell you why I'm happy he's running this year. Number one, because of him, we have more spotlight on ballot access than ever. And you've been following us. You've never seen people speak about ballot access more than this year, right?
Never. Oh, the only thing that comes close to it is when I interviewed one of the organizers for the Illinois Libertarian Party in 2022, and off the record, like as we were done interviewing, he said to me, "Hey, you know, we're going to get all of our candidates on the ballot." And I said to him, "You know, if you guys can pull that off here in Illinois, not only will I vote for you, all those people, but I will also say, hey, job well done," because I don't envy the person that would go through all the Illinois paperwork just to get ballot access. But they were able to pull it off, but I've never seen anything. The only thing close to it was in 2022. This now has exceeded it because it's on a national level. It's just not one state.
Yep. So that's number one. Number two, he's going to have to sue. And he's got tons of money. So he's going to help us. And the odds are we'll jump on board whatever he sues. The odds are we'll jump on board, or he'll jump on board us, whatever the case may be. As you probably also know, the Greens and Libertarians have been together on lawsuits for decades because we're the two biggest parties. We've been trying to get on the ballot, and we will often have the same issues. So very often we jump on board. So if we have Greens and Libertarians together, why wouldn't we have Cornel West? Why wouldn't we have RFK Jr.? Which means you have more bodies, more popularity, which people think popularity doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Right. True. When I tried to get in the ballot in 2022, the Supreme Court would not see my case. Why? I'm some dude, right? But if RFK Jr. decides to do this and go to Supreme Court's going to hear his case. And it's because he's Kennedy. You might go, Larry, that's bogus because he's popular, because he's a Kennedy. Yes, it is bogus and it's true, right? Both of those things are true. It's terrible and it's true. So yes, so that's why I'm happy he's running. I think we have a shot. We, of course, will have money because we always do. The thing that's not 100% true. I'm sorry. We will always have talent. There is literally no group of people who has better, talented, more experienced lawyers fighting ballot access than the Libertarian Party. We are the best. We have it all. Now you add the Green Party helping us out with some cash. If Cornel West or RFK Jr. has some cash too, now we have cash and lawyers. We can fight this thing. So yes, there will be. Our biggest enemy this year, though, is obvious already, will be Democrats. Right. Democrats are super afraid of RFK Jr. They have already put $1 billion aside. I'm not joking with that money. You can do your homework on that.
Well, no, of course they have.
$1 billion. Yep, aside to fight him. And that will, of course, affect us too. So yes, our biggest enemy this time around is Democrats.
Now, let's address a big issue. And this is one of my criticisms right now for the Libertarian Party, because should this happen, it would be the most historic debate, I would say, in U.S. history, because as it stands right now, and we talked about this on yesterday's show, RFK Jr. has challenged Donald Trump to debate at the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump earlier this month on May 1st stated on social media, as at the Libertarian Party on X, formerly known as Twitter, I call it Phoenix. There's reasons for that. But he has said that he's going to be there at the Libertarian event. So if there is going to be a potential debate, you have one Republican candidate, one independent candidate. However, look, it's happening at the Libertarian Convention, and Libertarians either need to have a representative up there as a third podium, or either that somehow break the rules and have your nominee up there right away, because it would be foolish, and it would be it would make a statement that the Libertarians wouldn't have somebody holding their banner should there be a potential debate between Donald Trump and RFK Jr. Look, let's start off with the rules process, and again, of how the Libertarian candidate is nominated, and could the rules be changed, because I saw a few people weigh in on this, from comedian Dave Smith to also Spike Cohen and a few other people who are prominent in the Libertarian Party. And yesterday, everyone was saying, well, there should be a debate. And if there is going to be a debate, they have to be there. Or there were others saying, well, we could just maybe get a representative, or hey, maybe we could benefit from just having these two debate. I want to get first, let's talk about the process.
So let me touch a bunch of those pieces if I could. The first piece I want to say is I am happy that they want to debate in front of us. That concept is a great concept. That's a canary in a coal mine. What I mean by that is it's showing we're valid. It's showing that third parties matter this time more than ever. It's showing that they want our votes. So the fact that they want to do it there is all. They didn't ask for the Green Party. They didn't ask for it. They asked for Libertarians. They know we're the third largest. They know we have a big convention. So that the fact that they want it is a good thing. Now, actually doing it. Number one, just because RFK Jr. says he wants debate doesn't mean there'll be one, right? That's number one. Doesn't mean there'll be one. First off, of course, Trump has to agree. I don't think Trump's going to agree, but he might. He never know if he agrees or not. The fact that it'll happen, that's awesome. There has to be a Libertarian presidential candidate there. I completely agree, no matter what. There has to be one there. And can the rules be changed? Of course, rules can always be changed. I mean, literally, they could literally, if they want to, and again, if they want to, open up the convention, go, hey, we want to make a motion to change the rules to, make the president, election now. I mean, if enough people say yes and a motion, of course, you can amend the rules, you can break the rules, you can do all types of things if you want to. You can change the bylaws. There's all kinds of things you could do. The question is, will we do it? Right? That's the issue. Can it be done? Of course it can be done. There's always a parliamentary way to get it done. I hope in my heart that if we actually have this debate on, say, Saturday night or whenever it is, that we change the rules Saturday morning, elect our presidential candidate, and then put them up. We can do the VP tomorrow, day after. Who cares about the VP? I'm the VP. Hopefully I'll be the VP, I hope. But whatever. Do that later. That's completely irrelevant compared to this. So yes, it can happen. Yes, I think it should happen. My opinion is there will not be a debate unless that happens. And to be forward, I'm not sure that it will. This is the piece I love. I'm very happy about this. And some people are really mad and upset. I am not. Why am I happy? Look at all the attention we're getting, and there's probably not going to be a debate anyway, right? There's probably not going to be a debate. And we're getting tons of attention, and we're now valid as a group in general, and there's probably not going to be a debate. I'm nothing but happy about this.
I'm ever hopeful for it, and the reason why I do hope that there is a debate, and again, hope in one hand, crap in the other, see which one gets filled up faster. First of all, obviously, look, let's be clear. Besides, a dead worm being found in RFK Jr.'s brain, look, Biden clearly has cognitive issues as well. But if there is to be a debate, yes, Trump should be on the podium. We haven't seen him debate. Hell, he didn't even debate during the Republican primary of this election cycle. But there should be a debate. There should be a conversation. And yes, I am ever hopeful that the Libertarians could be up there, because this would be breaking the norm. Not only would you have an establishment candidate pick, be it Donald Trump of the Republican Party, but you would have, of course, RFK Jr. name recognition running as an independent, and then have the Libertarian candidate up there as well at the Libertarian Convention. This is something that we've never seen before. Should there be a debate, though, how exactly will the Libertarian Party be airing this? Like, will it be on social media? Will there be media access? Because this could potentially boost up a lot of numbers, because if 100%. A third-party candidate or third party in general is able to get above, I believe, 15% or above 5% or 15% in the general election, that's it. You are now federally recognized as a new party.
Yeah, there's two different numbers
according to the United States government. Yeah, go ahead.
The 15% you're talking about is from the Commission on Presidential Debates. If you get in the right, I think it's 3 polls or whatever the number is. They have a certain number of polls. I think it's 3. If you average 15% or higher in 3 nationally recognized polls, then you're able to get in the debate stage. If you get 5% at the election, you're eligible for matching federal funds the next year. Those are 2 numbers that you're thinking about. So whatever you raise, say you raise whatever $3 million, you get another $3 million from the federal government. It's a federal government matching funds, basically. So that would be the goal of those 2 numbers. On top of that, though, I agree with you. I would love for this to happen with Libertarian. In fact, I would be okay if they invited Jill Stein and had her show up too. I'd be fine with it, right? When we did the free and equal debates in New York City earlier, Jill Stein was there, and so was Lars Mapstead. So was Chase Oliver, right? So De La Cruz was there also. So a bunch of people were there. I don't mind. The more the merrier. I want everyone on the ballot to be there. Let RFK be there too. Yes, yes, and yes. What third? And you know this. I'm preaching to the choir here, Kit, but maybe your audience isn't aware. The reality of it is what all third-party or independent candidates strive for more than anything is first to be valid, first to be real. That's the first thing we look for. Putting us on stage with a mainstream candidate or even just a popular candidate makes us, okay, now we're valid. Once we're valid, now we can move forward. Now we have a shot at doing something. Now we can. So I'm happy to have Jill Stein. I'm happy to have Cornel West. You know, I did a little debate with him at the Libertarian Party of California, and Lars Mapstead was on the stage with Cornel West, and I moderated it. Happy to do it. Happy to do it.
So now with this potential, should this potential debate take place, I mean, it's, to me, what I could see from this happening is because Biden is choosing not to debate, or is that going back and forth about him and Donald Trump debating. I mean, this could really shake up not only the entire Democratic establishment, but knowing all too well that this could take place May 25th. In August, we're going to have the DNC convention happening here in Chicago. And I've been seeing this onslaught, this complete pushback by corporate media and even by the Democratic Party, and by some extent even Donald Trump too, jumping in and saying RFK Jr. and third-party candidates are spoilers. They're going to ruin the election. They're going to, and obviously Republicans and Democrats use the same talking points. If you vote third party, you're helping out Team Red, Team Blue. And I think it's important that at least people do call out, especially Trump, should there be a debate happening about what do you mean spoiler candidate? People want something different. And even Trump, you know, has even posted on social media, and and of course his surrogates are also promoting as well. They're trying to convince libertarians, hey, vote for Trump because that's how we're going to get there. At least what are some of the advantages you could see happening with a potential debate happening with Trump being there? I mean, could this also shake up the entire Democratic Party?
Things that could happen, right? Is there a possible downside? Sure. Don't get me wrong. This is not 100%. There is a chance it could be a downside. Absolutely. But here's the reality. This is going to be a tough year for libertarians if we don't have a plan and if we don't roll the dice. I want us to get 2, 3, 4% at least, if not 5%. And the reason why is in most states, not all, but most states, if we pass a 2 or 3% threshold, we get automatic ballot access for the next 2 years, or next 4 years. I'm sorry, next 4 years. So that's why it's very important, in my view, for us to get a bunch of, not only to get a couple of gold states, but also a good percentage. And that's going to be challenging. How do we do that? By getting other people to see us and get other people who believe us more than the people who are there, right? The reality of it is there are people that Donald Trump and RFK Jr. want from libertarians. Libertarians are independents who vote. We vote all the time. We vote often, right? We care about this stuff. So they want our votes, and they're coming to get them. And I'm not mad at them for it. I would do it too, right? If I was running, I'd want it also. So with that in mind, the reverse is also true. What if a bunch of Republicans, tune in to watch Trump, hoping he'll be more Republican, and then recognize, wait a minute, these libertarians have some good ideas. Maybe we'll jump on the libertarian train. Some RFK people jump on board saying, oh, well, he's our guy. And they see the libertarians and go, wait a minute, these guys, they're better. I do think there's a chance of crossover. And why does it matter more for me? Because we physically, to be forward, have less people to lose. There's millions upon tens of millions of Republicans, tens of millions of Democrats. There's probably a couple million RFK supporters. I mean, there's at max, the highest we've ever gotten libertarians is 4.5 million votes. So there's at max 4.5 million libertarians, and there's tens of millions of Republicans. If we lose a 500,000 libertarians and they vote for RFK or Trump, but we gain 10 million from Trump, deal. I'll take that swap. I will take that swap. So my hope is that we can take more from them than they can take from us, because there's simply more of them. That is my hope.
Now, look, I'd be wrong not to bring this up, because good friend of your show and my show, shout out to Roger Meadows. Roger, if you're listening, hey, man, shout out to you. You know what he's going to bring up, and I have to bring it up here too. Citizen ballot initiatives, worker co-ops, public banks, all that good stuff that you have talked about, that he has shared on both of our shows. Have you brought up this issue for the campaign trail? Because obviously, we need to have ballot initiative states. We need to have more
100%.
freedom of choice. So is it something also that the Libertarians are going to be pushing forward, especially, let's just say, ballot initiatives? Because in many ways, if you live in a ballot initiative state, you're walking around the politicians and you're actually taking charge of legislation and putting it in the hands of the House and Senate, saying, hey, we the people want this and we voted on this and you're going to approve this. So has there been any talk about really fighting for, and so that introducing the idea of ballot initiative states or making more states ballot initiative states for the Libertarians for this election cycle?
Yeah, let me be very forward on both things. The first one is, do Libertarians in general want everything more local and more open democracy? Yes, absolutely. Also, to be forward, it's very rare that Libertarians push that idea. It's not at the top of our list. We think about things like ending wars, ending the Fed. So many Libertarians are for it, but it's very rare they push it. I'm the exceptions. One of the reasons why Roger always bugs me, because I push it locally in New York State all the time. It's on the top of my list. I'm a rarity in the Libertarian Party. Not that Libertarians don't like it, but being top of the list is very rare. For most Libertarians, they agree with that concept, that idea, but it's very low on their priority. So they wouldn't fight it, but they probably wouldn't fight for it. If you brought it up, they're like, yeah, okay, fine, but it's not top of their list. I'm the exception to that rule. It's high on my list because of how you and I both know how bad our states are, and we need some help because we have a machine against us. But most Libertarians don't think that way. So I hope that was honest. I just want to be honest with you.
No. It's perfectly fine. I'm pretty sure when you do your show, Roger Meadows is going to add in his 2 cents. So I'll let him drop the hammer, as he should. But before we wrap up this interview, look, we're going to see more attacks towards third parties. I mean, the Democratic primary was lackluster and mediocre. Trump is also jumping on board with the whole idea of RFK Jr. or third parties being a spoiler. So as we get close to May 25th and as we get closer to Election Day, what do you want to say to people who are going to be viewing third parties as that spoiler, or that one candidate's going to ruin it and ruin the country for forever because, they chose to run? What do you want to say to those individuals who still want to push on that ridiculous propaganda?
Yeah, one of your chatters said that Libertarians say they're independent but vote red no matter who. That person is completely incorrect. I haven't voted for a Republican since 1988. That was my first vote, and I was a Marine. And I voted for my commander in chief because I was a Marine. So yes, that's the last time I voted for a Republican. So that's absolutely not true at all. And the most important piece is, I would ask you, if you are considering, vote for democracy or to save the country. So what they're saying is, vote for my king, and my king will grant you his amount of democracy. That's not okay. You must vote against a two-party. I've said publicly on your show, if Cornel West was the only non-third-party person on my ballot in New York State, I would vote for Cornel West. I will vote third party no matter what. Why? Because voting for the same two parties gets us nothing. Everything you hate about our country has been put together by either Democrats and or Republicans. Everything that's bad by them. Green Party didn't do anything that made you angry. Libertarians haven't done anything that made you angry. Why? We haven't been in power. Give us a chance. Maybe we'll piss you off. But we have not. We have done nothing. Greens and Libertarians have done nothing to make you angry. More importantly, remember this. Bush got us Obama. Obama got us Trump. Trump got us Biden. Who's winning? It's not us. It's them. But I'll go one step further. One step further. If you don't vote third party, you are validating this system, and you must not do that. And I would say vote for find the third party person who is closest to you, whoever that person is, and vote for that person. Because if enough people vote third party, one or two things will happen. One, the major parties will actually change, or two, they won't just change the major parties, or two, they'll start changing the system in general, because these politicians do not care about us at all, but they do care about their power a lot. That's important. Now, Jay brings up a very important point. He says third parties need serious candidates. Serious candidates don't join third parties because third parties don't get enough votes. Don't have enough infrastructure. That's why they don't join them. So if you vote for third parties, it is chicken and egg. The more you vote, the more talent will come. There's nothing. Thank you. You've actually made another argument. Imagine if third parties could have ballot access in all 50 states, could have a whole bunch of infrastructure, serious candidates would come. So please, my friend Jay, vote third party no matter what. It is important. Of course, I want you to vote Libertarian. I'm clearly biased, but I get some people aren't Libertarians. Okay, vote for whichever third party is the closest one to you. Vote for them. That's how we make change. Everything else just keeps the same system going and rotating every 4 years.
And that sounds like a hell of a plan. So as a final note, everyone who's watching, especially shout out to the beautiful people in the great state of Maine and Nebraska. Here's hoping that we could see something historic, because if Mapstead's plan is on point and the Libertarians are successful in getting maybe 1 or 2 electoral college votes, it is something that this country has not seen in a very long time. And I'm ever hopeful that we could see a potential debate between RFK Jr. and Trump, and yes, even the Libertarian nominee, should that happen on May 25th. It is something I think the American people need to see. It would be historic, and I think it would shake the grounds of this entire election cycle, and maybe even spice things up for August when the DNC comes here to Chicago, and that's going to be a whole other can of worms, no pun intended, for RFK Jr.'s worm, and we'll be talking about that later on the show. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, look, if you're not following Larry Sharpe, please do so. He's doing some fantastic work. Please follow him on all of his social media. I've been a guest on the show numerous times. Give it up for his this is where you can find him on Twitter. You can find him on all of his social media. Larry, where can people find your shows? Where can people go?
Just look for Larry Sharpe on all the things. I'm literally on everything from Twitter to Rumble to YouTube to you name it, on Facebook, all the things. Look for Larry Sharpe with an E, and the E stands for entertaining.
All right, done deal, done deal. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Larry, thank you so much for your time. Folks, we're going to take a short little break, and we'll get started with our main show. And to our viewing audience in Can TV, if you want to learn more about Hardlands Media, find us on YouTube, Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, and Kick. And that way you can get to join in on our morning show that goes live every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. And Larry, all the best to you. And once again, Chicago-style pizza wins the day.
Have a good one, my friend.
Her hands are bound behind her candidate, who found the perfect hill on which to lay it down for good, who she might not agree with on apartheid or celebrating war crimes, but talks just like she could. He's got the IDF's back and the CIA's back like a Democrat should. Mr. Anti-Establishment didn't start the fire, but he's slipping on his hood. Her voice is grafted to a candidate who might not always speak for her, but what is she to say? Why bother harping on an issue that Americans won't listen to? It seems like such a waste. But what activism is saying they don't give a shit, but if I don't, why would they? So way to rob yourself of agency, then chain yourself to genocide and look the other way. I love to see a fellow running as a Democrat, taking stacks of money from a GOP super PAC, calling out corruption in the giant fucking country club he's clearly been accepted at, but wants to be the leader of. He knows which way the money runs, knows it paves a leader's path, and human rights for Palestine historically don't lead to that. So he will not address it, as he doesn't see a need for that. And welcome to the attitude our country's politicians have displayed toward Palestinians since back before they cracked the will of Arafat. And so the story goes forever after. We do not speak the P word here or recognize the Nakba. All you'll find are sea lions who volunteered as actors, barking like a manuscript from NAFTA. All you'll find are insulated sycophants intent on justifying why the slaughter done in Palestine is not a voting matter. Tell that to Shireen Abu Akleh. Tell that to the children growing up inside a city where the walls are made of shackles. Tell that to a mother who is burying her baby, how her son is not our problem because we'll never see his grave. He's just a topic we can mute, or we can scroll right past his face and all the videos of mourners being beaten at his wake. So stuff your poll on what the average voter sees as urgent. They don't get to know the half of what we use as our detergent when we launder all our ISIS cells, our cartels and insurgents. We do not elect the man behind the curtain. We elect the poll string diversion. We elect the lesser evil donors pre-selected best to do unto the Arabs as we did unto the Persians, and do unto the Muslims as instructed by the merchant who provided you with HIMARS that can vaporize a person. Back into the dust in which we all will find immersion. One arms dealer's Genin is another dealer's Curson. Both are just a mark that Lockheed Martin smells a purse on. And voters are the hollow thralls that Congress put a curse on to vote against their interests every 4 years till they die. And if you show them Palestine, cry better them than I. Though the curse of occupation's taken place within their mind, they will always love their prison, long as they are shown the sky. They will sing about their freedoms under Apple's watchful eye, as puppets dance and sing should you so pull their strings and wires. And they'll rally round the man who bears a torch and bears it high, and believe him when he tells them that he's here to stop the fire. We're cursed to love our prison and keep lifting up our liars. We are not behind the wheel, we're being crushed beneath the tires. And our blood is in the oil, and the plastic on the wipers, and our blood is on the hands of those who cranked inflation higher. And blood is on a vest where press can barely be deciphered, put there by a few Israeli snipers who were aiming at the center mass of truth about American desires. That you can sell us any story. We're a nation built of buyers, and we love a good parade. It always makes us feel inspired, like who cares that those were Nazis? Gosh, they had the whitest smiles. So I wouldn't bank on sequels to the Nuremberg trials. If they happened now, they would be confidential Pfizer style. Redacted paragraphs and empty vials, close to 80 years before they share their files. Well, luckily, your lesser evil logic lets you justify the nations we've defiled. Lesser evil logic lets you cast a vote for someone that you know is truly vile. Lesser evil logic sees another million bodies thrown upon its hoarder's pile, extending out for miles. So every line I've had to scrap, I've turned back into bile. So don't you touch that dial, lest the feds come swarm your door. Guess it isn't safe to say things like I don't support the war, or may Palestine know freedom from the Jordan to its shores, or I'd love to see our senators get trampled by the poor. Any pull-string dem will tell what they're allowed to stand up for, and how little things like Palestine are better off ignored. You can call it voter outreach for some desperate remoras when the shark from which they get their scraps starts polling on the floor. And the shark says those who live beneath a brutal occupation should be thankful for their freedoms and their rubble and their gore. And I swear it only makes those bottom feeders love him more. One in particular is beaming for her candidate who found the perfect hill on which to make his final stand. And she will not be deterred by all those pesky little war crimes, will not be deterred by his support for stolen land. He helps her come to terms with how to spin an occupation, and forgiving the oppressor is the democratic way. She says her voice is grafted to the candidate who speaks for her, and every time you pull her string, she's nothing new to say.
Anybody who's deliberately targeting civilians, they should be prosecuted and they should be jailed. The key should be thrown away. But, I don't see any proof of that.
He really does believe this, guys, to his soul.